Hello everyone, hope you guys are having a good day. Today is March 16th, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about our multi-day severe weather outbreak that is going to be occurring in the plains and in Dixie, and even maybe into areas of the Mid-Atlantic. Tomorrow is looking the worst. We've been watching this event for a long time now, about a week, and yeah, so let's go ahead and start. So today we do have a pretty big risk, but we can see when you go to the home page of the Storm Prediction Center, we do have this, which says a moderate risk of severe thunderstorms is forecast for Wednesday, 3/17. That's tomorrow. That's St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, I'm just trying to fix that. Sorry, but yeah, let's go ahead and look at the day one outlook, which is for today. This is the latest one we have. From this came out around 3.5 hours ago. We can see my pen's not working right now. I do not know why, but we're going to use this one. We can see we have an enhanced risk in southern Kansas into the northeastern Texas panhandle. It's going to be right along the surface low. And 5% tornado risk. It goes from Oklahoma down into western Mississippi. 15% wind, and the reason we do have that enhanced risk is because we have a 30% significant hail risk. So this hatched area, that means that 10% or greater probability of 2-inch diameter hail or larger within 25 miles of a point. So that is 2-inch. So that means the SPC is forecasting a chance of 2-inch diameter hail tonight in some areas of down to central Texas and up into southern Kansas right there. So we're gonna have a chance of some significant severe weather tonight. We're gonna talk about some ingredients for that tonight. Now, most of this video is going to be about tomorrow. Tomorrow, we do have a moderate risk, and that moderate risk goes from right around Little Rock down into Montgomery, Alabama, almost to Columbus, Georgia. Very big moderate risk, actually. And I forgot that doesn't work. But cities in this is we have Jackson, Mississippi in it. We have Memphis, Tennessee, Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham's not that far north. Montgomery, Little Rock, Arkansas is in it. Monroe, Louisiana is also in it. So kind of the major cities we have. We also have Tupelo, Mississippi, and Oxford. So yeah, pretty much what I just named right there. And then in the enhanced risk, we have Shreveport, Mobile, Columbus, Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama, Jackson, Tennessee. And then in the slight risk, we have New Orleans, Atlanta, Georgia, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Springfield, Missouri. This marginal actually goes pretty far north, almost in the even northern. It is in northern Missouri actually. Areas like Columbia, Missouri, you are in that marginal risk for tomorrow. Now day three. This was our 15% risk we had yesterday. We do have an enhanced risk. Cities in that is Columbia, South Carolina, Macon, Georgia, Athens, Georgia, Valdosta, like every city in Georgia, Savannah, Greenville, Spartanburg, I think to the south and east of you especially isn't it, but you're kind of right on the edge of that. Raleigh is in that. Wilmington, North Carolina, you are in that. Myrtle Beach is in that. So yeah, pretty big area being affected by by this multi-day severe weather event we're having. Pretty big area. It goes all the way from southern Kansas, even in central Texas, all the way to the Atlantic coast, where we actually have a significant chance of severe weather. Not like we just have a large marginal risk. No, this is a moderate and enhanced risk. And also, something interesting to note with the day 2 outlook is this. If these trends are maintained, an upgrade to a high risk could be necessary with the initial day 1 convective outlook at 06C tonight. So the SPC, or the Storm Prediction Center, they're considering an upgrade to a high risk, which that would be the first time we've had a high risk in about 2 years now. So it's been a long time. And it would be interesting if we have a high risk, but I don't want a high risk. I don't want this event to turn deadly. But yeah, so let's start looking at models. And tonight it seems we're gonna have our cold front looks to be kind of setting up right here. Gonna have a dry line right here. Nice warm front stretching out like this. Another boundary here stretching from our previous low, which is kind of right there. So pretty cool little setup here. And more moist air coming through Texas. Goes up to around southern Kansas. And even some more like looks like there's some kind of boundary right here. Drier air behind this and a little bit, not really moist air. I wouldn't call it moist air, but you have some high reduced kind of areas like Kansas City in this area. Mainly, we have dews mainly in the 50s to almost 70 in the southern part of this. Now, the reason we have an enhanced risk is because right to the northeast of that low, we're probably going to have some enhanced lapse rates due to cold air or cooler air higher up. So we can take some soundings in a second. First off, let's zoom in on this enhanced risk. So we're going to go to central U.S. for today. And actually, we're going to see when it's forecasting storms to happen, or when the HRRR is forecasting storms to happen. Like I said, we are using the HRRR tonight. So, yeah, it's forecasting to just mainly be an overnight event tonight. We really don't have storms going on in Texas, Oklahoma, or Kansas right now. But once we get later into the evening and into tonight, it's expected to ramp up a little bit. So let's go back to, or actually, let's just stay with this and let's take some soundings. So right before initiation, this is 02Z. This is a little past. This is 9 p.m. Central Time. Take a sounding right here in South Central Kansas. See what we got. Now this is not an impressive sounding at all. Shear, I don't really like those profiles a whole lot, and we do have good lapse rates though. We can go here. I forgot my pen doesn't work, so let's use this one. But 700 to 500 millibar LR, which is lapse rates. We have 8.1. That's actually pretty good. We don't have very steep surface lapse rates, but this sounding will support some hail for sure. And once these storms actually initiate, let's take one here in western Oklahoma. Now this one is contaminated, so we're not going to look at it. Take one a little bit further to the east. This one's also contaminated. But this shear, though, has an interesting look to it. Let's try and get a sounding that's not contaminated, kind of in front of this. So this is a better sounding. Now, I don't exactly like the looks of this, of the QT here. But we do have some decent shear. Winds mainly veering of height. This shear could support a decent tornado risk, actually. Problem is we don't really have good thermodynamics for this event at all. Lapse rates are steep, though, so that's going to support a pretty large hail threat. And we do have a good area of ML Cape here. It's not extremely thick, but it is not bad. But surface Cape is limited, and we have looks like this. We have some type of boundary at around 1 kilometer up. We have maybe kind of around there. We have an inversion right there, so something to note. So definitely some type of tornado risk is needed for tonight. We can see definitely large hail is going to be a threat with these storms. We have steep lapse rates and everything in this area, so I think a 30 sig hail is needed. I think that was a good call from the SPC. We'll see if it verifies. We'll look at that tomorrow. This sounding is a little bit further to the east. You see, we don't really have. This is capped. It is contaminated though, so we're not going to look at that. But these HODOs though, these aren't bad for tonight. I mean, if we had a decent setup with this amount of shear, we could definitely get some, maybe like a 10 sig. But we don't have a perfect setup for other things. It's not just shear that's going to lead to our tornado risk. We don't really have. It's pretty capped too, which tornadoes don't like capping. And well, we don't have a ton of moisture tonight. It is, I mean, a 58-degree dew point, that's doable if you have like a lot of instability and stuff. We don't have that. I'd say tonight's mainly going to be a large hail event with some damaging winds for sure. And a few tornadoes are possible. I think tomorrow is definitely going to be a bigger day for tornadoes though. We go into tomorrow morning here, and we're going to shift further to the southeast, where we have our moderate risk. So let's go to the southeast Let's get this sector loaded here. And you can see along the warm front, we do have storms moving to the north. Some of those could be like isolated severe storms. Nothing really impressive with these. There's some damaging wind and some smaller hail. This is when this is when it starts to get interesting now. At around, I'd say 2 to 4 p.m., we see a lot of isolated, or not isolated, but scattered storms going off. And some of these will be supercells if this happens like the HRRR. And shows a lot of them going off in this area. All the way from maybe central southern Alabama, central southern Georgia. And I mean, those will make it all the way maybe into South Carolina, maybe over there. If this happens like the HRRR, we're gonna look at the NAM3 also. I mean, the NAM3 is not one of the best models ever, but we are gonna look at it. So yeah, we're in front of this. We're gonna have a lot of supercells potentially if this happens. I think we're gonna have a few even if this doesn't happen. Which sometimes the HRRR does have a supercell bias. I've noticed that before. And hopefully all of this does not happen. And hopefully it doesn't happen hopefully this does not happen like the HRRR, because I don't want this to be deadly or anything. But we can see Wednesday, this is around 6 p.m. That's Eastern time, so 5 p.m. Central. So you have a pretty strong line of storms stretching from almost Lake Charles, Louisiana, all the way into northern Arkansas. Let's take some soundings in front of this. First off, let's start in the southern part of the line. We don't have really good shear with this, mainly directional. Not directional, but mainly we don't have good shear of this. This would only support probably a 2 or a 5% risk. We do have this is a moist sounding. We do have pretty steep surface lapse rates and a decent amount of cape. So this could support. This is probably a 5% sounding because everything is pretty good. We do have winds veering of height. No backing. We just don't have a lot of changing with direction with us sounding. Let's go up further north. This is western Mississippi here. A little bit better shear actually. Winds veering of height the whole way up. Slightly capped. Just something to note right there. Pretty moist sounding once again, 65-degree dew point. Moisture is not really a problem in the moderate risk tomorrow, and most of the severe risk it's not. See, overall, not a bad sounding for tornadoes. The Hodo looks decent, and let's not take soundings in front of this line anymore. Let's take some soundings with these potential supercells. Let's take one right here to the south of Birmingham. Not the best shear ever, but this is contaminated, so let's switch. Let's get one further to the southeast a little bit. All right, yeah, this. Oh no, let's get a new one. Same area. Sorry, not really. Let's do one right here. All right, here we go. So we have a 70-degree dew point. That's significant. 3,000 ml cape, and we also, or not ml, surface. ML is 2,583. That's pretty good for Alabama in March. And winds veering of height, decent shear here, not extremely impressive. And the Hodo is definitely not like what we saw in Texas last week, but not a bad Hodo. I say some of the most impressive Hodos I've seen were in the Texas Panhandle on Saturday. That was just a really cool day. We go up a little bit further to the north. Let's get one right here. Shear, once again, not extremely impressive shear. We do have a little bit more of an enlarged Hodo. Also, 66-degree dew point, not bad. Decent. We have decent instability. So, that's not a terrible sounding. And we can see this line right here. There's likely going to have very damaging winds with it. As it moves further to the east. And take some soundings in front of this. We're likely also going to have embedded tornadoes inside of this line. And some of these maybe could be briefly strong. Like this sounding, we have winds veering of height the whole way, around 45 knots of surface to 3 kilometers shear. 36 surface to 1 kilometer, so not terrible. And this Hodo pretty enlarged. I like that. Critical angle is 48. We'd like to see 90, or I would like to see 90, but or close to there. 48's not. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's definitely not the best either. So yeah, looks like we're gonna have a pretty big severe weather event tomorrow. Take one further to the south here. This is a nicer sounding. Very nice shear profile. We have decent hodo. Critical angle is 44, so not terrible. And instability is a little limited. We're starting to get into the overnight hours as this moves further to the east and goes into Alabama. And it does show kind of a weakening trend once it goes into Georgia. And this kind of looks like what it did on this kind of looks similar to Easter once it gets into Georgia. The first part of the line kind of dies, and right behind that part, a second one forms in eastern Alabama, and that goes into Georgia and then goes into South Carolina. That happened on Easter also. Or I actually don't. I don't think it happened with the actual event, but the models were showing it around around like a day or two out. I remember that. So something interesting right there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm really unsure if there's going to be a high risk tomorrow. It's going to be a really close call though if there's a high risk, and I will try and update you guys as early as I can if there's a high risk. For sure. Now, if I live stream tomorrow, that's kind of uncertain also because, well, I do have school for most of the day, so I can't get out of that to live stream. But I will probably live stream later in the day, probably like maybe 9 or 10 p.m. Kind of like tomorrow night. So yeah, now let's go ahead and switch topics a little bit here. We're not going to talk about this very much, but we're going to have a chance of snow in areas of southeastern Colorado, New Mexico, the Texas Panhandle, and even southwestern Kansas. We're going to have that likely tonight into tomorrow morning. And then even maybe during the day tomorrow, we'll get us some leftover snow in like the Oklahoma Panhandle and the northeastern Texas Panhandle. And that moves east. That's our storm system that's bringing our severe weather. It's going to slowly move to the east. And then once it gets into the northeast, where we have frigid air from this high pressure right there. During the night, we're going to have that cold air sinking further south, those below freezing temperatures, gradually sinking further to the southeast. So that's going to start, we're going to have a little bit of snow kind of Friday evening, maybe Friday during the day. That'll mainly be limited to like upstate New York, central New York, that area. Further to the north, we'll just see some light snow showers, nothing significant up in like northern Maine, that area, or central Maine. But we can see we go later. This is kind of early. This is around midnight. So late Thursday night into early Friday morning, we have our low off the coast of Virginia. A little bit of moisture, not a whole lot. Not going to be like a blizzard or anything. Just a few inches of snow. It's going to be pretty short also. This is going to be a pretty interesting storm system. We'll have to see what actually happens. Pretty certain that the models know where it's going to happen. You can see we have a... What? Alright, I don't know what happened there, but... Yeah, we can just see a little bit of light to moderate snow in areas of the northeast. Nothing extremely significant for this time of year. I mean, the northeast in March has had some pretty big winter storms before. In pretty recent years, too. We can see by Friday morning, though, that snow even makes it to areas, coastal areas, too, like maybe Providence and New York City. And then during the day, Friday, that moves out and further to the south. Maybe bringing Washington, D.C. a few snowflakes. Also on the backside, even Philadelphia could get on a few of those snowflakes. Not really any accumulation, though, for those areas. Philadelphia probably has a little bit of a better chance of accumulation with the storm system. So, yeah, not a whole lot of snow with this. Let's go to the European to see how that looks compared to the GFS. And pretty similar to the European. It does have a further north low, though, so keep that in mind. It's not very far to the north, but when you look at the difference we're going to have, it will be significant. Even though the GFS was around right here, the European is just a little bit further north. But we can see New York City, the European doesn't even have getting in on that snow. Maybe a few snowflakes, maybe on the backside around Friday, like Friday morning. Not much though. It has a little bit more moisture with it too. So you can see even a little bit of snow coming in for areas like Boston. And we'll start off as rain and switch over to snow if the European happens. And then Friday morning it'll be just a little bit of light and moderate snow. Pretty much for the whole Northeast though. Other than extreme eastern Massachusetts. And some of the coastal areas could still maybe be a wintry mix, but mainly by Friday morning the European has, and the GFS has, that whole area all snow. So, yeah, and then even Friday afternoon, we still have a little bit left in the European down in southeastern Virginia and southern Delaware and southern Maryland also. So, we're just gonna be talking about a few inches of snow in the Northeast. Nothing significant for this time of year. And if this was April, this would be a little bit of a different story. But we've had pretty big snowstorms in March, so just a few inches of snow, like 1 to 3, maybe 4 in very localized areas. But yeah, that'll wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for watching. And I will be back tomorrow. But yeah, be safe.